Hi, everybody. It's Allen Bestwick. The 10th year of the Gluchacki Driver Development Program begins rolling out its class of 2025, and the second of the finalists this year. It is my pleasure to present to you now. It's Derek Gluchacki. And, as race fans, we all kind of tend to gravitate toward people from our home area. And so this one is fun for me to be involved in announcing because Derek is from my home area, and a lot of his racing roots are at places that are super familiar to me. Derek, congratulations, a finalist for the second consecutive year. And before I get into a little bit about your background and that kind of thing, I want to ask you, last year, being a finalist for the Gluchacki Driver Development Program, what did it mean to you? What was it like a year ago?
Yeah, thank you, Alan. It's a pleasure to be talking to you first off. But yeah, honestly, it was life-changing experience for me. We worked with a lot of foundations. The most of the one we worked for was the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. We had a lot of booths at racetracks, had their logos and stuff on the race cars. So we had a lot of people come forward and tell their stories and just open up about such a tough topic to talk about, right? But yeah, honestly, that part of it was super life-changing, and to be able to meet all the amazing people through the program, Wendy Venturini, there's so many names, people with TRD and all stuff like that. It was just honestly so eye-opening to see what you could do with such a small platform being on a local level.
Yeah. So, Derek, you're a young guy. You're from Dartmouth, Massachusetts, or as I properly described it before we started this particular interview, Dartmouth. I grew up in Rhode Island, just on the other side of Seekonk Speedway. And your resume, even though you're just 23 years old, is filled with places that I grew up going to racetracks at. So, just a little quick spin through your background, if you will, with me. So, you started racing quarter midgets at the Little Thompson Speedway. Is that right?
Yeah, we started that when I was 9 years old. That was around, man, so long ago now. But yeah, we did that for about 5 years and track championships and all that kind of thing. And quickly moved on to Legend Cars at Seekonk Speedway, which you just mentioned. And same thing
Yeah.
there. We had success. Took a little longer to get over the learning curve, I guess you could say. But the end of 2018, we were able to purchase a late model, same one I still have today. And from there, we've been on the American Canadian Tour ever since. We ran a season at Thompson, finished second in points, and when COVID hit, all the racetracks around here shut down, and ACT was the only thing running. So we got our feet wet in that, and that's where we've been ever since.
So you're 23 years old, but you've been racing since you were nine. That's kind of remarkable to me. Now, how did this develop? Did your dad race when you were a kid? What got the racing bug going for you?
Yeah, so I'm actually the first one in my family to do this. So started from almost nothing. My uncle did tractor pulling and stuff, so I kind of got into motorsports, I guess you could say, through him. And once I got old enough to, kind of see what was going on and stuff, my dad took me to Seekonk and started going to the throw shows and stuff, and then met some people. We got a little group of friends together, started going on Saturdays, and once I found out who the good guys were, I kind of got, kind of like a fan of them. And
Yeah.
once the weekly guys, same guys up front every time. So I became a pretty big fan of Freddie Estelle, and that's kind of what got me hooked on it. Just watching him every week, and just fell in love with it from there.
So just a little way of tying this together. When I said, folks, that you pull for people from your home track, Seekonk Speedway's been around since 1946. And when I was a young guy, 6, 7, 8 years old, no, I wasn't driving like Derek was, but my dad had a second division late model car at Seekonk, and that's where I started going to the races. And my first experience announcing races came at Seekonk in the mid and late 70s. So to see a guy come up through this area that I'm so familiar with is really a lot of fun for me. So 23 years old, you got this late model going. It's not your full-time job, although it may take up full-time hours. Tell me what you do for work and how you manage to make time to run a racing team by yourself at just 23 years old on a traveling touring series and still hold down something to pay the bills.
Yeah, so I'm an automotive technician in Fall River, Massachusetts. Do that 40 something hours a week, whatever it takes to pay the race car bills and have something left over. But yeah, thankfully I have a lot of sponsors and supporters who help me. Can't thank them enough, obviously. But It's been tough doing it all. Obviously my parents help, but as I get older, they want me to take more and more over. So it's been tough. They gave me a lot of help, and obviously that they would, but a lot of help and motivation to continue with what they provided for me. So honestly, I'm just super thankful to be able to continue it as long as I have. It's a lot of work and perseverance at times, but it's all worth it in the end.
Let's talk about racing. What's the most fun thing about racing for you? And what's the most challenging thing about racing for you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the most fun is the winning part, right? But
Yeah.
I actually, I really enjoy. I build all my own cars and all that stuff, so I enjoy putting them all together. All the setup, fine detail stuff. I really love doing all that. I set up some other people's cars and stuff to make some money to pay for this, so that helps out. But yeah, honestly, the hardest part is just the tough days at the racetrack. You come back with your tail between your legs, and you got to pick up the pieces and put it back together and be ready for the next week.
It's a humbling sport, isn't it?
Oh yes.
Yeah, there's only one winner every time you go out and take the green flag, and it's a humbling sport. Your odds aren't 50% like they are maybe in a stick and ball or a team sport. Your odds are a lot longer than that to be the guy coming back. So, as a New Englander, uh, who did you look up to? I mean, you mentioned Fred Estelle, and so by the way, the Fred Estelle you're talking about is like the next generation of the Fred Estelle I watched race. I'm an old dude now. That was at Seekonk when my dad was. Who are some of the other guys you looked up to that you said, I like his or her style, and I want to be like that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Dale Earnhardt was big. I was a big Dale Earnhardt fan. I never personally got to see him race, obviously, but I always go back, watch his old videos and stuff, and like more of like today's world, like Kyle Larson's big to look up to just for how versatile he is. Kyle Busch, how he handles himself now off the racetrack and stuff with his kids and everything. So, there's a lot of people try to take all the good from as many as you can.
Yeah. Who's been the one person that's influenced your success the most? Is there somebody that kind of has pointed you in the right direction more than other people, or someone you've leaned on to guide you towards success?
Yeah, when I was just starting out, well, towards the middle of my legend car career, the Bowlers, the three modified
Yep.
on the Wheeling Tour, the crew chief is actually lives two houses up from me. So um, knowing him has been a huge help. Obviously, they've been doing it forever now, so they got it figured out pretty well. But I grew up kind of traveling around with them with the Wheeling Tour and just learning how they handle their race team and just their habits and all that kind of thing, how they talk about the race cars. It's helped me a lot to say the least.
The Bowler family, for folks from other parts of the country that might be seeing this, have been legends and successes in NASCAR modified racing in the Northeast for forever. Multiple national championships. Some of the greatest drivers in the history of the sport have come through their shop, which is not that far from where Derek is located in Dartmouth, Massachusetts. I want to talk about your goals. You have a dream like all of us. What's your dream?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like the main goal is to race on Sundays, as every kid's dream, and this is right. But like realistically, like for this year, I want to try to win the ACT championship and just be as successful as I can. Like a little bit longer term goal is probably to get to the Wheel Modified Tour. Um, had an opportunity to drive the Bowlers car a couple years ago. That went really well. So hopefully, in a couple years or something like that, I'm able to make the jump. But as of right now, I'm pretty happy where I am with the ACT stuff, and they do a great job with their series. So definitely looking to stay here for a while.
So let's talk about the American Canadian Tour is the longer version of that name. How many races? What's the variety of racetracks? What's the challenge that you're facing this season?
Yeah, so it's about 17 races, I think, and we go all over. We go to Canada three times. Really high bank, quarter mile, shoddy air. That's up in Canada. Oxford Plains Speedway, we're really good there. We have a lot of success. Really abrasive, low grip. So, and then the New Hampshire Motor Speedway is the total opposite is that high speed, a lot of grip. So, wide variety, and then probably the toughest track on the tour, Thunder Road. So there's a lot of variety. There's four of us from New England all run on the ACT Tour that are all semifinalists. So that speaks volumes for what ACT does for all of us. And so really looking forward to it. And it's definitely going to be a challenging year.
Yeah, the competition is tough. The travel can be daunting. But you mentioned one key place. So I think all of us that are race fans in New England look upon New Hampshire Motor Speedway as our place, right? That's our super speedway. You won there. What was that like for somebody from New England to go to that place and win?
Yeah, the first time we pulled up the tunnel there in one and two, and you see the big grandstands and the big New Hampshire Motor Speedway press box, the signs. It's really just it takes you back to where you came from, and to be able to have as much success there as we have, it's really humbling. You don't want to take it for granted. You want to enjoy every moment you can because you never know when your last win's going to be.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to talk to you just a little bit about going forward with the Gluchacki driver development program. Your knowledge of Allen. I had the great pleasure of covering Allen's NASCAR Cup Series career. Everything from his first races to his championship race. I'll throw in a little Allen story. Okay, you've heard the legendary story about the blizzard in Atlanta.
Yep.
There was a NASCAR race in spring in Atlanta, and they had a blizzard come through town and basically canceled the race. But we had to go out to the racetrack because in that day we didn't have the internet and things like that. We literally had to go on the radio and tell the world that the race was canceled because it wasn't snowing everywhere, that it was in
Right.
Atlanta. And we walked into the garage and saw, you've heard this part of the story probably, but there's one team, they're working on their race car, and it's Allen. And he's up under the hood of his car and he's got his full face helmet on and he's got his driving gloves on because it's so cold and it's snowing out. But he's in there working on his race car, getting ready for the race that is not now going to happen. That's the kind of work ethic that Allen had. What have people told you about Allen when you got involved with this program, and what did you take away from it?
Yeah, honestly, it's a lot of what you said, just his work ethic and how he did everything his own way. He went down there with nothing and he made a whole career out of it. So just his work ethic was huge, and just how meticulous he was with his race cars and the people he had working on them. It honestly, I've tried to take away as much as I could from all the stories I've heard from him and just try to apply it to my own racing as much as I can.
The Underbird was that was always a good one to take away from that. So as you move forward with this, to have the support of the program for a second consecutive year, you're the only one that's a finalist for 2 years in a row. I see you're smiling about that. What does it mean to you?
Yeah, it's a big deal. I'm super proud to be a part of it, and it's obviously an honor to carry Allen's name outside of the race car and get to hear all the stories and talk with everyone who's in some way been connected to Allen and the whole program. So, but yeah, honestly, it's like I said earlier, this whole thing it's changed my life over the past 3 years, and just super thankful to be a part of it. It's made me like probably 3 or 4 years ago, I would have never had the confidence to do this interview, especially with someone like you, right? But yeah, it's honestly it's changed me in so many ways. It's definitely got me out of my bubble, and yeah, just super thankful to be a part of it again.
So goals for this season are win the ACT championship, win the Kawiki Driver Development Program
Yeah.
honors, and get yourself married in November. Do I hear that correctly?
Yes, we are getting married in November. Thankfully, there's no race on that weekend. But yeah, November 1st, I get to marry my best friend. I'm really looking forward to it.
And her name is, and how long you been together?
Yeah, her name's Madison, Madison Cabral. We've been together for 5 years. We met through racing. Her brother races, and it's a whole family experience. It's a lot of fun.
I just going to say the Cabral name is well known to race fans around New England, particularly those who like the midget series and the NEMA group. Well, that's terrific. Well, listen, this has been really fun for me to get to know you a little bit, and the fact that you come from where you come from means you added another fan following you across this summer that it's going to keep an eye on you and wish you nothing but success as you pursue not only the title in the Kawicki Driver Development Program, but the ACT Tour and wherever all else you go in your racing this summer. Derek, it has been a pleasure for me, and congratulations on being a finalist for the Kawicki Driver Development Program for a second straight year.
Thank you, Alan. It means a lot.